Today on the podcast, we had Mr. Aaron Patterson. We actually recorded this a couple of weeks ago, and it's funny, the things we talk about on this podcast, like procrastination and not having started certain projects yet. Well, the reason this podcast hasn't gone up yet and been edited and all that stuff is because I've been working on said projects. But now that we're through the door and the director can't be mad at us because he's heard the product and seen the product and he's happy with it, we're going to release this episode where we talk about Aaron's job with Bagged and Board, how he was one of the original masterminds behind the team, I guess, if you will. The team? Yeah, the team that is Pixel Brain, and his work with visual effects and how fantastic they are. So yeah, let's hop on in. Hang out with Mr. Aaron Patterson.
You are now a loyal follower of the Villain District Podcast.
Okay, today's topic.
Oh, we're gonna come up with that right now?
Today on the VDP Public Radio.
That's right.
We've got Mr. Patterson.
Hello.
Chapter 1.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to VDP Radio. Today's episode, no topic.
No topic.
Chapter 1,
That's pretty good.
undecided.
That actually would be a This American Life.
Well, yeah, the first story
Chapter 1, no topic.
is about two guys named
Chapter
Will and
2,
Joe.
Chapter 2 is David Sedaris.
It's always David Sedaris.
It's always David
reading an
Sedaris.
excerpt from his book
In front of a live
in front
audience.
of a live audience.
Followed by
Every
Tig,
third
followed by
episode
Tig
of
Notaro.
Pretty much. Well, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up, Aaron?
What's cracking? What's happening?
Not much. Just got done from
Who-
another
who are
tough day
you?
of working from home.
Nice.
So yeah.
I've been here all day.
Oh.
Got here at 8:55, and it's now.
Is this story going to be something exciting like Groundhog Day, or is this just
Yeah.
going to be?
Is it Groundhog Day?
No, it will be soon.
That's soon. When is that? Is that
February 2nd every year.
Oh, okay.
Since
I have
you've been
no
born.
idea.
It
I have no idea.
It happens over and over
It
again
does.
every
It does.
year.
It does. Yeah.
It happens over again.
Let me tell you, Bill Murray is looking a little too old for my taste.
Right?
Let me just throw that out there.
I just finished watching Parks and Rec just the other day.
Yeah.
Because the last season finally came out on Netflix, and there's he makes a cameo as their mayor, who you never see in the entire
Oh,
series
I did not.
until the mayor dies. And
Yeah.
they have to figure out who's going to be the new mayor, and you see his body like on display in the public forum. I didn't even realize it was him at first.
He doesn't talk?
No,
It's
well,
just-
he's dead, but
I mean,
then they play a video.
not after he's
They
dead,
play a
but
video
yeah.
that he had made,
Oh,
like in
okay.
case he died.
Okay.
So that's when I realized it was Bill Murray.
Gotcha.
But like the angle they had him in his like white hair, and
Yeah.
it was just old.
Yeah.
I was taken aback.
I don't like that at all. I mean, I want Bill Murray to look like, at most, at oldest, Steve Zissou. But
Let's
Yeah.
talk about some old people, okay?
okay,
Let's talk about Chevy.
Chevy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Chevy J.
yeah. he hasn't really done it well. I don't think.
He has aged very poorly.
Yeah,
Just like a turbo poorly. He's aged turbo
right.
poorly. And
Wait, you said we're going to talk about some old people. Did you
Let's
have
just-
another one in
okay.
mind? Or was
Let's
it
throw
just Chevy?
Let's just throw some more out.
It's
So
just Chevy.
speaking of old people, lots of people dying.
Right.
Lots of people dying.
As long as
Lots-
we're going there.
Lots of
That's
people
true.
dying.
That's right.
Grizzly Adams.
Unfor-
I know everybody's been thinking about that.
Absolutely, all day long.
Dr. Ziggs.
Yep.
What was the one?
What?
Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, I see.
David
Yes.
Bowie.
Yes.
What was the one? There was one just the other day. I can't remember. But of course, we all know
The guy from the
big ones.
Eagles.
Yeah, he died, and then
there
the,
was-
the lead singer of Motorhead. Mm-hmm. He died
Oh, right.
at
He's-
the end of 2015.
Yeah.
And he was 69, turned 70, 4 days later, died of cancer.
Oh.
Then right in the beginning of 2016, 69-year-old David Bowie dies of cancer. 69-year-old Alan Rickman dies of cancer. And they're all British, too.
That's
Whoa.
wild.
And then
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman, man.
lost
Yeah.
Grizzly Adams. Oh, Abe Vigoda
Abe
died.
Vigoda. That's
That
who I was
what it
trying to
was.
think of. Yeah.
It seems
Abe
like
Vigoda.
surreal. Like that should there was been that website, abevigoda.com, or is abevigodalive.com?
I don't know that.
There was a website
was
because
it?
he was so old.
Yeah.
People would, if you Googled Abe Vigoda, one of the top results was, "Is Abe Vigoda dead?"
Right. Yeah. Of
or
course.
still alive. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
And then you would just go, and it would just be a picture of him, and he'd be like, still alive. And then the day he died, they put X's over his eyes, and it said, Indigota's dead.
Oh my God. Too soon.
I know.
Whew.
But if you're going to make a website with one purpose, you better be ready to be on the ball and flip that switch
you need
the
to be
moment
ready.
it happens.
You need to have prepped that page.
That's the weird thing about being like a late 20s, early 30s kind of person is that all those famous people you loved growing up are all getting close.
Yeah.
This is,
You know?
and this is the first, at least in my life, this is the first time I'm experiencing this wave of like celebrity death. Like celebrities dying who I knew who they were.
Right.
And knew
And
what
more
they
of
did.
like old age as opposed to like
Right.
overdose.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know, like when you hear the
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
Chris Farley, you hear the crazy
Yeah.
Heath Ledger
And you're like,
stories.
what? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is more like,
Or like-
oh, that sucks, but
Aaliyah dying in a car or plane crash.
plane crash. Right. What did she do? I remember her name
She
and
was a
that she
singer.
died in a plane crash.
She's a
and that's
singer.
all I know
Remember
about
that song
her.
with Timberland?
I always
Baby girl, I'm the man from the big B.A. Won't you come swing round my way, and listen to what I gotta say, And they had the little baby like cooing in the background.
Oh, that was very unnerving.
It was like in the 90s. I was in the eighth grade.
I remember that. Yeah, I would have been about.
That's like the
about
only
there.
song I remember Aaliyah for.
I would have been about that.
And then she died, and then Alicia Keys came out, and I was like, I would get them confused because she started
for
around the
some
same time
reason,
Aaliyah was.
in my head. Aaliyah is also Left Eye from
Yes,
TLC.
she's the same. Yeah,
because they both
In my
they both
brain.
died. Yeah.
they
I
both
guess
died
around the
in
same
a-
time.
They both died in a plane and a house fire from a shoe. I think I have weird like that's a
Wait.
memory that lived with me.
I misunderstood you, and I thought you meant they both died in a plane and a house fire
Yes.
with a shoe
Yeah.
each.
No, that's
like
what-
Aaliyah
that's what
died
he
in a
said.
plane and a house fire with a shoe.
That is what I said.
It was a real freak accident.
That's what
Her
he said.
plane
It was
nut job.
very strange.
landed in a house.
Yes,
A shoe caught on fire.
that's right.
Tragedy.
It
and
was.
then
It was awful. House full of shoes.
fate has it. Left Eye.
The day the music
same
died.
thing. Same thing.
Day the music died. That's what that song's about.
Someone buried
That
that
day.
conspiracy.
Bye bye, Miss Left Eye.
Oh my God. Yep. That's
Chased
it.
a waterfall too far, and that's when you die.
Yep.
And then your shoe caught on fire. Oh no.
Oh,
Who'd have
Was it
thought
her
that
shoe? Was it
this
someone
be
else's
the
shoe?
way that you'd go?
Oh,
Who'd
okay.
have thought? Who'd have thought it?
You know what's sad about that song? We're just going from one topic to the other, but you know what's sad about that song? I know more of the Weird Al lyrics to that
Yeah,
song
yeah.
than I do to the real song.
well, it's a long song, and when as
true.
a kid you just give up after the first
Yeah.
verse.
Yeah,
and then
but if it's about Star Wars,
But yeah,
It's
then
about
you- oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars. Yeah. Well, same
Then-
thing with been spending most our lives
Yeah,
living
true.
in an Amish paradise.
right.
but that was Coolio, man. Coolio was about as campy as Weird Al.
yeah.
I saw Coolio recently on Wife Swap,
What?
and like 10 days after after they swapped wives, his wife left him,
Oh,
and she had been living with
downer.
Sugar Ray guy,
just talking about
Mar-
everybody who died.
Mark?
Mark McGrath,
Mark McGrath. She swapped
Matt
wives.
Gaither.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt Gaither. So hey,
Coolio's wife
let's talk
left
about
him
Let's talk about
to live
bagged and
with
board.
Matt
Let's
Gaither.
let's get into something that
Oh yeah, what I do.
something that has an actual
now that
relevance. No.
now that all the news is out of the way, our news segment.
Our obituary section.
We're on chapter 2, listener. Chapter
Chapter
2.
2.
Bagged and board.
So we've talked about this quite a bit on this show because of all the
I've never seen it.
silly people we have on here that are do silly things.
That's right.
One of those people being Mr. Matt Gaither, the Mr. Director
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. We recently had Craig on the show. We've had Kent and April on the show as well. We've had Jake on the show a couple times.
They're
The last-
all at a meeting without me right now.
The last
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
last time Jake was on the show, he said some really dirty things.
Yeah.
Doesn't
It was
surprise me.
really dirty.
Filthy
Filthy
things.
dirty.
And my mom listens to this podcast.
Like they could have been in a Coolio
You
song.
should have
dirty.
just edited in a David Sedaris reading
right.
Yeah,
to
right.
cover up.
Absolutely.
We should.
Just like halfway through. Mom, David Sedaris showed up, and we all just, our jaws hit the floor, and we were all
was fine.
silent while he read some of his book.
You see, whenever the episodes, like, I've noticed that speaking of bagged and bearded, Steven at the beginning of their show has a disclaimer saying, there's going to be some adult language, and for the most part, if it's just me and Will, like it's pretty tame.
Yeah.
Like we just talk about stuff. But there are certain guests that come on that just like to rev their engines hard. So I've decided, instead of putting a disclaimer in the intro segment, I just address my mom directly. I'd say, "Hey,
Cover
mom.
yours, Mom.
Yep.
Hey, mom. This one's gonna have some stuff." The last one was some medical stuff, but Jake.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Right.
So walk us through episode 6 is in post right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't tell Matt. I haven't started on it yet.
Don't tell Matt I haven't started on it yet either.
Knuckles, because
I've been working on like some of the physical stuff, printing for comic covers and props and cards and stuff that we need, and downloading like the digital files I need. I have all that, but I haven't started on it yet.
Great. That's so good. That's great news for me, because if
It's going to be a lot of powering through.
Let me just call Matt real quick.
if I finish the music and the visual effects aren't done, he can't have his release, right? So it's not
This
my
is
fault.
true.
It's your
This is
fault.
true.
Right.
So
So
tell-
whoever gets done first, it's the other one's fault.
Right.
Is that why you're trying to get me drunk? So I just like,
That's it.
make sure the visual effects
just
don't get done, so I can pass the blame.
But that being said, why don't you walk us through your role with the extravagant and extraordinary web series
right.
Bagged and Bored?
So I'm one of the producers with Pixel Brain. I'd say me, Craig, and Matt kind of produce the series. Then we have Caleb, who does all things magical sound and is amazing. Before I go into my role and the normal stuff we do, I just want to say he is the unsung hero that nobody knows about, because I went to art school and like film school, and nobody there knew what the fuck they were doing about sound. I'm sorry, I'm not Jake. Knew what the heck they were doing about sound.
No, you
And,
say what you want to say, man.
And
We're not stifling here.
Oh, it was
At
painful.
the VDP.
It was really painful in school. Like you would, have the worst boom mics or camera audio.
Dude, that's
you'd hear
no joke.
the refrigerator hum that would change in every shot, and all
Nice.
that other stuff. That's a bad white balance, a hum in the background, and poor typography are what always stands out to me. And like if I see that, or if I see two of them, you've lost like all my respect. You could have the best story ever.
Yeah.
And it sucks, as a creative person, if we have a good idea, we don't want people judging us based on that sort of stuff too, if we don't have the right talent or people around us
Right.
to solve those problems. But now that we do Bagged and Bored and we have somebody who makes it sound like a TV show,
Right.
It
doesn't matter
awesome.
how good your show looks, how cool it is.
Yeah.
If it sounds bad, people are their brains are going to say, it's not good, it looks bad too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, sound is always the last thing people consider. Any of the movies I've worked on, post is like, okay, we're doing ADR hard. We're doing all the Foley, everything, nothing's usable.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're shooting the movie, you're like, oh, we got this. We're shooting on the Alexa.
The camera's so nice.
The camera, look at this light. Oh, it's gorgeous. You hear that? Oh, that's that's an airplane, and this is a period piece. Like, you know?
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's always shooting outside, especially from wide distances. You're always gonna have to ADR it.
Oh,
That
yeah.
sucks. But the good thing is we have a nice set that we can shoot. Well, at least for the first few episodes. Then we started expanding. But it's nice being able to shoot indoors in like non-business hour time. Helps out with sound a lot, because our first feature, Zach Cooper, there was a lot that was outside. It was a pain in the ass, all because of sound. If it wasn't for the sound, we could have filmed it super fast. But
You could have done a speed run on it, you might say.
Oh, yeah.
Zing. Sing.
Yeah. Did I
I just
say,
wanted-
did I
I
say
just
the
wanted-
name? Because it was Zach Cooper's Epic Speed Run.
I hope you did.
Tap it
I'm
in.
not
That's
sure.
a zinger.
I just wanted to make sure we got rid of a third of the audience early.
Oh, okay.
So keep going.
So with this, we started, of course, we filmed just kind of this silly little comedy idea of riffing back and forth between Jake and Kent and Jake and some of the customers at the store, just because Brian gave us a set, and we were like, we were working on some funny Resident Evil shorts and costuming and location and characters and stuff, and we had those pretty settled down. That was going to be our next project, but then we didn't have all the costumes done. They were getting finished, props and stuff, and so in the meantime, Brian gave us a set, and we're like, well, we'll film this thing. And originally it was going to be just this one-off thing, and we were still very inundated in video game content at that time after doing Zach Cooper and meeting each other through video game tournament and just all being gamers and game collectors and stuff. And so we were going to, even though it was comic book related, we were like, what can we name it so it fits our channel? And we were trying to figure out like a video game reference, and there's that Sega game Comics Zone.
Oh yeah,
with an X, Comics, I think, Zone.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, Destination Comics Zone. Maybe we call it Destination Comics Zone. Well, Brian, I guess, wouldn't have that because it has the word zone in it. Right. And one of the other competitors in the area is the zone.
Right.
But then it kind of came out, and we were like, we could actually do something. I think Craig, knowing the two actors the most, and Matt being impressed with what we were working on, was like, we should really do something about this. And so Craig, as our writer, he kind of took off and just kind of put it all out there on paper, and then it bounced around for a while, and a lot of it just goes between me, Craig, and Matt early on, and just a lot of brainstorming, and Craig comes up with the bulk of it, and then we just hear it out or read it and kind of come up with, well, what if this, what if that, what if this is not realistic, I can't do post-production for this, this is ridiculous, or how we got to find a location for this might be tough, and then we get some plan Bs, and things do evolve over time, but a lot of the early is I'm there for pretty much all brainstorming, and then it's all on Craig at that point to write it.
Well, when Craig was on the show, it was funny because he was saying, in the writing process, he's like, as he's typing out an idea, he's like, okay, this is really important, so Aaron, you got to figure out how to do this. You got to figure out how to make this work.
Matt does the same thing to me.
Yeah.
He'll be like, can we do this? And there'll be times where I'm just like, that's impossible. But other times I'm like, well, as long as I'm there when we're filming.
Right. So you have to be on.
And I tell you an idea, like how we need to do it. It is possible. It might not be, if I want it to be a certain way, but I know with our limited resources, it might not be that way. So then I come up with different angles and different ways that it could work.
Right. So the angle, like the framing, all of that stuff is important to how,
Yeah, because especially if you're compositing stuff, you're limited to what you have available to composite. And so if you have a certain effect, like a fireball, well, you may only have, for the way that it's going to work in the story, you're limited to a handful of resources. And because we're not going to go out and film fireballs, we're going to use from like composite stock collections and stuff.
Right.
And then you have to kind of figure out what they look like, figure out what angle and distance from the camera it needs to be so that it'll work.
Yeah.
Because we don't have our own Weta on hand to do all the CG and effects like custom for every shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always there. Zach Cooper, we had a lot too because there was a lot of video game effects and explosions and things like that.
Which I have yet to see. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it either. It's on YouTube, I think, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I need to see it.
We've got it's an hour long, and there's 3 20-minute parts on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay.
If you talk to April, she said on Girl Gone Geek, if you listened recently, she was like, Matt sent her that to try and convince her, like, hey, can you do this thing for free and be in like our first episode? She watched that and she was like, oh wow, this is really good. I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, there you go.
And I take that as a big compliment because I used to think it was great. Now I watch it after Bagged and Board. I think it's good.
Right.
But I think Bagged and Board is like the perfect storm of talent. That
you grow and get, you refine your talents, right? And so everybody who was involved in that and who is doing this now, has probably grown and learned things and stuff like that. And then also I think you're absolutely right about it being the sort of perfect storm of, it's this huge collaborative thing. I mean, even from everything you're saying, right? And pretty much everybody who's involved with it is firing on all cylinders.
Matt even talks about he's used the same camera, or the same like family of cameras since Zach Cooper till now. And when we started filming this in the store, he was like, man, going back and looking at this footage, like now that I really know how to use this camera, like things are coming out a lot better.
Right.
Caleb did great the first time, but now we have like more often a closed set, so he probably has an easier job.
Sure.
And then we had Rance helping with music. you now helping with music, lots of people's friends and family that are stepping up to help out with different things, and then Craig knowing all these comedians who, at first after doing Zach Cooper, I was like, how none of these people are going to want to, like, they need, the proof is in the pudding, and how are we going to convince them that we know what we're doing? And fortunately, Zach Cooper convinced a lot of them. Zach Cooper's what convinced Brian. Brian and Evan saw it at one of our screenings, and they, that's when he said, "Hey, come film at my place anytime you want."
Nice.
So, it was a great. It all fell together so wonderfully.
Give us an example of like a shot. You were talking about how like you have to, like, you need to be on set to understand, angles and stuff like that to make sure that it looks good after you're working in post. And so, like, what's an example of an episode that, say, is out that we?
I was like, because episode 6 will have a lot,
right? But, that's what I was trying to avoid, maybe.
Like episode 3, the podcast, when he falls through the ceiling, I have to make sure, okay, we want to do it from this angle, because when we capture, Adam on the green screen, Sean on the green screen, we want him facing this way, and that's only going to work if we get it from this angle. Right. We want to make sure we have this in the shot, this out of the shot, keep it on a tripod, make sure this person is not moving too far over in this area.
Right.
So that was one. Then at the end of the episode when he's burning the box, that was done in post-production, because we were not going to burn a box behind Brian's business.
Right. Where would you get all those kittens?
Yeah, and that too.
Yeah, sure.
Especially the kittens.
Yeah.
Right. A cardboard box we could lose, but Brian wouldn't have it. His property manager, but he was freaking out because we were looking for a gas can just for a prop,
right?
To have like sitting next to Adam, like he used the gas can to burn the kittens, and he was like, "No, you're not burning that box back there." He thought we were going to actually use the gas to get the fire going.
Sure, yeah.
And so that one, I'm just like, all right, lay this out this way. We need space for the credits. I need to make sure I have room for the smoke.
Yeah.
And that pretty much everyone that we do, I'm always, dealing with that. I can't remember what else is. Oh, the big ones, Pod Club, I had a lot. So making sure that I could make the slammer explode.
Yeah.
What angle we could do it at, and what was going on in the shot at the time. And then I feel like there was a handful of other stuff I did for Pod Club. That was the one I did the most.
The one I was thinking of was from episode 5, was Zoe.
Oh yeah,
going through
5
the
is
window,
out.
Right?
So that was tough because I think at first I was like, Matt, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because episode 4, Pod Club's kind of fantastical.
Sure.
And originally, before I get into episode 5, I want to get into the fantasticalness of Pod Club, because when we were doing the script, I came up with the idea that, Adam, I don't know if anyone knows this yet, but Adam was not supposed to be in his hot dog costume the whole time.
Okay.
He was supposed to only have it in front of the store, and then he was going to be in like his blazer and his bow tie and stuff the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And Matt just kind of like came up with that one night when we were like chatting online, and he convinced me, and then we convinced Craig. But originally I was like, well, maybe when things get down to business, like once Sid challenges him, he's like, oh, things are down to business now, and he like takes off his costume.
Oh yeah.
And in the original script, he like clapped or snapped his fingers, and a guy in a hazmat suit came out with like a metal like case with like a nuclear symbol on it.
Oh, interesting.
And like opened it up and like uses tongs to hand him the the atom bomb. And because he, it's like he has this guy on retainer like for his entire life, just ready at a moment's notice.
Right.
And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Sean Keller was like, no, this is like magic now. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're talking about an episode
right.
where this guy built a nuclear slammer as a kid.
Yeah.
And keeps it on him, and then it explodes.
Yeah. Right. There are already...
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, right.
So I was a little mad that they took that out.
Now, I will say, I didn't bring this up with Craig since he is the writer. I'm still in the camp that...
It was a daydream?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was
or whatever?
I don't think it was a dream. I think that was just his perception of what was happening.
Okay, so that's what you're thinking? Yeah.
Because
the way we wrote it was, it all did happen. The only daydream part was him being like on the building, like daydreaming about why do I pog. Like that was the only part that was like a daydream. Mm-hmm. But when you all were talking about that, I was like, you know what? I feel like that is the truth of the matter.
Right.
Like this all did happen.
Yeah.
But Adam is kooky, maybe you could say deranged, but in a
Right.
a good way.
That's just just how he sees
that he
the
just-
world.
Yeah. He lives in this sort of pseudo-fantastical world.
I don't want to give any spoilers away for episode 6 because we're still in post, but there are a lot of really fantastical things that happen in that episode, but it's all
In a fantasy world.
it's all explained like as you go.
Or a representation
It's
of
a
what's happening in
representation
the
of
real
what's
world.
happening,
But it's
which
not
is-
like this is actually happening. Yeah, and it's very
Yeah.
clear.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
But
I don't know
yeah,
where I fall on that. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Since we were talking about the fantastical episode, not
Right.
effects, but now back to episode 5 when she jumps through the window.
Oh, yeah.
So that was one that I was like, Matt, this is an episode where it's a character-driven episode.
Sure.
And I was like, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I was thinking maybe she'd back up and put her goggles on first.
Right.
And I was like, okay, you won me over.
Now that
Yeah.
works.
I was
yeah.
like, for some
That
reason,
was genius.
the picture of
It
her
got a
doing that, because I was
huge
like,
laugh.
she's had the
Absolutely.
goggles on,
Yep.
a different pair of goggles,
Yep.
She has to
nonstop.
pick
I like
her
the
favorite
idea
goggles.
that one reason she might wear those is because she might have to jump through a
jump
window.
So Matt had sent us like this little link. I guess there was a Scott Pilgrim
Yeah.
shot where like Knives shows up looking for
Oh yeah.
Scott, and his roommate like quickly like slides the door closed, and like he saw Scott in the background, but he like runs off, and then he like dives through the
That's
window.
right.
And you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's like, I wanted to look kind of like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, shit, we don't have wires
Sure.
to hook April up on wires. This isn't
Yeah.
a set. We don't have like a trampoline and wires to set her up on and float her through this window
Yeah.
or a stunt double or anything like that. And outside the window was big bushes with wasps and bees. And so it was like, no.
Yeah.
So I knew it had to be visual effects. So that was one where I was like, all right, we have to do mostly from the side, because I can easily animate like glass coming out, and she'll immediately be blocked off the moment she gets out of the window, and she'll be moving fast enough. There's a motion blur and all this other stuff. So I knew kind of where we needed to put the camera. But then, we kind of broke the 180-degree rule, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to face it the other way, but Matt wanted to face it this way.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, we'll do that. But then when you face it that way, there was a mirror
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah.
So he like called me to the room, and he was like, all right, so, well, now there's a mirror back there.
Right.
So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll just have to animate everything twice. Once for this and
Yeah.
once for the reflection. But,
Yeah.
we have to do it. That's usually the way
Right.
I would end up on
Right.
everything. He would have an idea, and I'd be like, well, we can do it. It's going to be hard, but we can do it.
Yeah.
So he would just give me stuff like that all the time. I'd be like, well, I'll
We
have to figure out a way.
We have to. We have
So
to.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
It was and with shots like those, the smallest details make the biggest difference. And it was like she jumped through the window, and then I had pretty much everything done. But then I had to take, on the windows and the Venetian blinds, you have like the little twisty
Yeah.
stick thing and the
Yeah.
little string that you pull down. And of course, because she didn't actually jump through the window, those are standing perfectly still after she shatters through the window.
Right.
So I had to take both of them and cut them out and clone stamp the background and paint behind them, paint them out and cut them out.
Sure.
And then take them and apply some points and add a pendulum expression.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
animate it so that it would just like swing like a pendulum
yeah.
and smack against the window.
Nice.
So I had to do that for both of them.
Yeah.
And like once you did that, then it was kind of like, all right, this passes.
This works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also speaking of episode 5, you had a different role in episode 5.
Yes.
Which was in front of the camera, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
That was fun.
First of all, let me tell you how it
I'm
was.
thinking about the scene where it's like,
yeah.
I was going to say, let me tell you
that
how it was
wasn't
from
planned,
an audience
and so-
perspective. Creepy as balls. Let me just say.
That wasn't planned, and so we all broke, except for Sarah, who was the one who decided to do that. The first time it happened, it wasn't planned. We were just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole reason I got into film and video, like growing up, was because of the like directing actors and the acting and stuff. Because I went to school and got the degree in that, directing my own stuff and doing that. But I always like when someone else is doing the directing, because I can just stand back and mostly focus on creative stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And not all the technical stuff. But then this was a time where I was like, hey, I get to act again. This will be fun.
Yeah.
But we had originally just a single character, the sister, and she was going to be kind of like the straight character.
Yeah.
I always imagined kind of like what's her name? Is it Linda from Breaking Bad?
I don't know. This guy would know.
The brunette business type woman who like came in towards the end. That they would meet at the coffee shop.
Yeah, I forget her name, but
she met with Meth Damon every now and then after he was taken over. But I always kind of pictured that kind of character, kind of like just cold, straight to the point, and business. Like,
and she'll do what she needs to do to get the business done. Yeah.
So whenever Craig was originally writing the story and writing that character, it seemed kind of like along those kind of lines. If you're trying to picture who her sister was, and then I guess Matt wanted a little more excitement. It wasn't enough, so then they were like, well, let's make it twins, and they brought that up at some point, and we were like, great, and Sarah East was going to be the girl, and she had red hair, and so up to this point, there was originally this character that they had thought that we were going to use that I don't think we're going to use anymore. So I think
you can talk about
it.
Yeah.
And I don't see this character coming back. If we do, it would definitely be someone else. Because early on, when we didn't think we would have enough success to convince nice, good actors to come help us out, we were going to do a competitor, or not a competitor, but another business next door who was trying to like kind of take over the whole strip.
Oh, yeah.
His name was Mr. Hoover, and he had a vacuum store, like a vacuum enterprise.
Yeah.
And Craig was like, I might want you to play Mr. Hoover at some point. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I can like make myself all, business-like and clean cut. That's easy. And
sell some vacuums.
And so, but then I was like, I'm still like 20 to 30 years old. Like, it might work.
You're on your way up.
I'm not like yeah, that's what it is. A young aspiring vacuum entrepreneur.
Exactly.
But at this point, like the story had changed so much, I was like, I didn't think we were going to use them anymore. I was like, guys, I knew we could get older actors who would help us out at this point. So I was like, guys, I know you all mentioned this at one point, but I don't think I'd be interested in that, or probably not the best option. But I could play this.
Yeah.
She's got red hair. We could probably play twins. I am a fraternal twin in real life, so I've been method acting my entire life, minus the creepy aspect.
Right.
But just the fraternal twin aspect.
Totally, that's cool.
So then they were just kind of like jumped on it pretty fast. They were like, yeah, that's right. Like, because we were kind of coming down to the wire, and they were like, actually, that's a good idea. And they were like, let's do a script read. And then I think we did a script read the next week. And up to that point, Matt had shown me like the Team Rocket, because I'm not a Pokemon aficionado.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer and I know what they are, but I never watched the show, especially, so I don't really know Team Rocket. So they showed me the intro to that, and I was like, all right, I'll just be that character. But I was also thinking like the mid-Atlantic, like New England, like Lovey kind of. What's his name from Gilligan's Island?
The
millionaire and his wife.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Mr. something.
Yeah. But so I was thinking, take kind of that. And the Team Rocket, and throw it together. So it wasn't as British as it could have been. It was more like a mid-Atlantic, almost British.
Sure. Yacht clubs.
Yeah, but I would go into the British every now and then. I'd be like, oh, rein that back.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. So we did a script reading, and Sarah just does kind of like, she's just kind of disgusted by everything when she's talking to Zoe. Like,
everything's kind of below her.
Everything's below her.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of the flamboyant, like, I believe in you, Zoe, but you have to come join us, and all the other stuff. So we did the script reading, and it was just flawless. And I think I wish we played an example for the other actors, but none of them could make it except for April whenever we were filming. So they didn't get to see how quick we did our takes. Every other actor, they're either farting on each other or making each other break. And it takes it's a lot of the filming is a long process, but our shoots were really fast. But yeah, for any listener who hasn't watched it, when we show up, we are like the creepiest, incestuous, or implied incestuous.
It's implied.
I would say it's probably not, but it's just they make everything so uncomfortable that it just seems that
they're really
very
close in a weird way.
Yes.
Yeah. So almost Westerosi, almost
really inappropriate,
almost Lannister.
Really, yeah.
And
not quite Lannister.
Not quite there, but yeah.
And we're like the business power ambitious kind of people, and Zoe of course is this cosplaying, creative, anime loving comic book store retail minimum wage worker.
Yeah.
So she's definitely we don't want her to be beneath us because she's family, but what she is doing is like disgracing the family
exactly
in a way.
Yeah.
and we still want to give her a chance.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. I was thinking episode 4 would be my favorite up to this point.
Yeah.
But I think I'm tied, especially with that awesome end credits from you doing the music and Harry doing the animation.
Yeah, that was
it's just hilarious.
Yeah, the end of that is amazing, and it's almost like, I mean, I sort of agree with you. Like it's almost like an apples and oranges between episode 4 and episode 5, because episode 5 is just, the tone is so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there are parts in that where you're not laughing, and it's on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be laughing. You should be
Yeah.
taking these characters seriously as characters, and that's a very different tone than like episode 4, which is very,
Yeah.
outlandish and
Because episode
fun.
4 is a character-centric episode. It's an Adam-centric.
Sure,
but
yeah.
Adam
But he's a different character.
is no matter what he gets into
Yeah.
and does, by the end, has he grown or learned
Yeah.
a lesson? Not so much.
I don't want him
He
to.
won't.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't want
That's
him to.
Adam.
He's great as he is.
He will get into hijinks and
Yes.
crazy stuff will happen to him.
Yeah.
But he won't have like deep character
No, I'm not-
development.
yeah,
where he's
exactly.
He's growing as a character and
I think it's a great call.
having this introspective and stuff.
Yeah,
But the other characters, they might.
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Who knows?
I'm interested to see a Jake-centric episode. I know that's probably not happening this season, but I think it should happen.
Yeah, not this season, but I
Yeah.
do know. So that is something that we've talked about next season is Jake-centric, Veronica-centric,
Yeah.
and possibly a team-up episode with Veronica and Zoe.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be
Yeah.
cool.
Like where they
Yeah.
have to team up on something.
It's something
Because up to this point,
Right.
I'm not sure if we can pass the Bechdel test. Because
Yeah, right.
Because
Yeah, maybe.
Zoe kind of resents Veronica, not because of Veronica, but because of Kent hiring her for
Sure.
not so
Yeah.
Right. Integral needs. Like
Sure.
she worries about his integrity and his reasons behind it.
There
And
are
so then
underlying-
kind of has this kind of
There are underlying relationship tensions.
yeah.
Yeah.
But-
if unspoken. But
Zoe's not a bad person, so I'm
No,
sure
yeah,
if it
sure.
comes down to it, they
yeah.
Well, I can't think of an example, but there are certain shows where certain characters start off, I guess the best word is dumber than you think they're going to be, and as the show progresses, as the seasons progress, they become more of a fully developed character.
Yeah.
And it becomes more about quirks and less about intelligence, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I could see that with Veronica. I would like
Totally.
to see her become more of a normal part of the show and less of a just cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's easily part of her arc.
And the good thing is that most of her dumbness just comes from her not knowing anything about comic books.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And,
right.
and she was just
Exactly.
looking for a job, and she
It's-
was having
yeah.
trouble finding a job, and
Yeah.
then Kent hired her immediately, and there she is in this foreign world to her.
Exactly, yeah.
But she doesn't look down on it, and
Right.
she tries her hardest, or she tries her best, and she's
True.
passionate about it. So
Yeah, I'm really
there's a
interested-
lot of room for growth there.
And it's all about understanding where she's come from
Yeah.
to get to that next point for her character.
And I mean,
You know what
don't
I'm
get me
saying?
wrong. She's ridiculous as a character, but
She's
all
ridiculous.
the characters are ridiculous,
Right.
right? I mean, so it's like the distinction with her is like she's from a different culture. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of like to bring this back around so that I can force you guys to watch it at some point.
please do.
Zach Cooper's Epic Speed Run.
Oh, okay.
Their friend Chi.
Uh-huh.
There's this language barrier
Right.
going on because she's Chinese.
Yeah.
And so that kind of worked its way into the story.
Oh,
and
okay.
and so there's she's from a different culture, but she also doesn't get half of their video game references or whatever.
Yeah.
She's just kind of along for the ride either way. But she's more sarcastic and glib about it than Veronica, who is
Sure.
excited and passionate about it.
Yeah.
Watch Zach Cooper's Epic Speed Run.
I mean, I
I really want to watch it.
yeah, I do too.
I made a whole house explode in Zach Cooper's Epic Speed Run.
Sounds expensive.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It took a long time, though.
Yeah. I mean, like, my thought is, I think a Veronica episode, I mean, I'm over here, I get to speak from pure fandom, so I just get to shoot from the hip. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think a Veronica-centric episode could really complicate things in an interesting way. Do you know what I mean? Making her sort of even fleshing out her character a little bit could make things very complicated.
Imagine the end of episode 5 where you're on board with Zoe that whole episode. You're with her.
Totally.
And then at the end where Kent just totally just denies her friendship.
Right.
Hard walls, brick walls, her friendship. You're like, Veronica, she's in the way for anything to happen.
Right. And that's Kent's fault, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's Kent's fault. Yeah. Kent's an idiot.
Yeah.
And the big thing with Zoe and Kent is on the story side, I don't know if there could ever be anything romantic there. There could.
Sure.
But I think up to this point, most of our story has just focused on friendship. Like,
sure.
So many stories you see, hey, the boy and girl have to end up together. Here I see just a friend looking out for a friend a lot and constantly being let down because he's making poor decisions, life decisions.
Right.
Sure.
Well, and Veronica's getting in the way of that friendship completely because, she's, hey, by the way, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. Oh, actually,
Hold that thought.
I'm immediately not here.
And that's what, like, episode 5, it was so great that you see the flashback to, like, when she first showed up. And Kent gets along with Jake. They're best friends. Kent is happy in his relationship with Josie, surprisingly.
Right.
And he's friendly and compassionate towards Zoe.
Yeah.
And then when she comes out of that, she gets shoved away by Kent for Veronica immediately, and it like is a harsh snap to reality of like how much this place has changed,
right.
And how much the friendship has changed, and is he really the same person I used to know? Mm-hmm. And looks at her phone. Maybe working for my dad wouldn't be such a bad idea,
right?
Does she call him? I don't know.
Who knows? Tune in next time.
And there's some interesting. I'm excited to work on musical themes, especially for episode 6, which I've written quite a bit. I just haven't recorded anything. But I will say it's a Kent and Zoe episode. Like they're interacting the whole time.
Oh, I see.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's really solid. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Nice.
I am too. There's one scene that they did together that when we were filming, it was cold, but it had to like look like summer. And you guys were there.
Yeah.
It was really cold.
By the way, that
was
plays
cold.
really, really funny.
Oh, I saw the 1 minute thing that was sent to us.
It was my favorite scene. Even when we were filming it, like both Kent and April like pulled it off. They knocked it out of the park.
Nice.
Like the way they would go back and forth was so natural, and it was just like, oh my god, this is great. And just like their emotional range, like jumping back and forth from like calm to like angry to like looking out for each other as friends, just jumping around in that scene, it was just so natural and so amazing that I was just like, while we were filming, I was like, this is great. And then of course watching it, I'm like, this is awesome. And that's one of those scenes where you kind of see their friendship and you get a little more history about them and Johnny Masters, that you kind of start putting things together, and you can kind of start picturing how this like almost family tree, but friendship tree works in this store.
Sure.
And it's just like one of those scenes that you don't realize it right away, but it's like this has a lot of background info and like weight to it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was
see how it turns out.
I remember the day that we were there in the morning shooting that thing, pretending to be warmer than we were, because me and Joe got to be extras in that little part. And I won't say
we were wearing sleeveless shirts.
We were wearing sleeveless shirts. I won't say how we fit in or anything to not give anything away. But I will say this, having been, because just I forget even who we talked to, probably Matt, but it was like, okay, yeah, we'll show up and we'll do that. We don't know, because we don't have anything. We're just extras, and so we don't know. It's a problem, like
that we don't know.
What's going to be said, and so it's like watching the episode for the first time and not being able to laugh at it.
Because, dude, you ruined a couple.
I ruined a couple of takes. It was
they had to cut before.
I really needed to have read that first,
right? So, like, you need to know it's coming, because
I needed to get
some of the
used to it.
dialogue and.
Yeah,
the Johnny Masters character.
Oh my god,
is just
it's so good.
it's outlandish.
Yeah.
And he'll just say what he wants to say, and in the way he says it.
Yeah.
When you're standing right behind him,
Yep.
and he's wearing shorts up to his private parts.
Yeah.
His tank. Yeah.
Yeah. And he delivers those lines like, what do you expect us to do?
I can't
like, you
just
have to
roll
go ahead
with
and
that.
assume we're going
Like,
to
yeah.
ruin
Yeah.
the first 3 takes.
Yeah,
because
come on.
we filmed like maybe the first minute of the take,
Uh-huh.
and then we filmed another like.
Yeah.
It just it was a snowball effect.
That's right.
Because we'd get through a little bit
would be
more
like-
each time.
Yeah.
You'd laugh, and
exactly.
then the next line would come, and you'd
Yep.
laugh in the next take.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you
Yeah.
should have just told us the whole dialogue.
I was staring at a tree. I was paying close attention to the bark on a tree and singing a song to myself in my head, and it still didn't help.
What was that
much.
song?
Yeah.
Don't go chasing
Probably
waterfalls.
yes. No,
Call
it was
back.
the yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that you hadn't read that part
Yep.
of the
No.
script.
Yep.
I mean, you have no dialogue.
No,
so
yeah.
that's the thing is when we're trying to do script readings, make
didn't
sure
have to
everybody's prepared. All the people who need to know lines.
Exactly.
We don't think, hey, let's
Yeah.
send the
Yeah.
extras the script.
Let's make sure we don't ruin
so they don't laugh.
takes. Yeah, exactly.
Because we are comedic geniuses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. In episode 4, when I stepped in to start working on the series, Matt would just send me just random clips of the episode and say, "Okay, well, I kind of want it to sound like this. Score it." And I have zero context of story at all. And
no
as a
idea.
composer, like, I need to know the story beats in order to. I mean, I don't want it to, well, even on like a very like minimal level, if this scene and this scene are butt to butt, that, is going to change my approach to what it should sound like and how it should.
If you have some sort of
transition.
dark scene right before then, and then you come in and you just start at dun 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 dun,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm sorry, I just ruined the whole tone of the episode.
So I think it was after a shoot day. I met with them. I think you were there. I think you brought logs, or was that Craig that brought logs?
Craig brought logs,
think Craig brought
and then I had to
logs.
film stuff with
And
logs.
then yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
if you don't mind to like send me just a cut of the episode, so I can see what's happening. It's like it's the same kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
mentioned that.
no
He was
idea
like, I
what's
was sending
happening.
him stuff, or maybe you mentioned it at some point, but I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Just
need
don't want
know-
it to play weird. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even so, like, if I'm developing a theme for a character, and it happens in this scene and this scene, and I don't know which happens, what happens where, it needs to build on itself. So, like, the first time you hear it, it needs to play a certain way. The second time you hear it, it doesn't have to. It can either build on itself, or it can either call back to that first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
So basically, I'm saying, Gaither, I'm calling you out. He's not listening, but
No,
I'm
it's
calling
fine.
you out.
That's a safe space to call someone out.
He let me
you
watch
don't think they're
episode
listening.
6.
Well, we already admitted that
Front to
neither of
back.
us had started working on episode 6, so
Right,
hopefully he's not
exactly. You
listening.
guys are
Hopefully he's
already
not, yeah.
you're already in deep.
Someone will tell him.
We'll call this
Someone
episode
will-
Gaither Don't Listen to It.
Yeah.
So back to what I do on Back to the Board.
Can we talk about me a little bit longer?
So, we were
Like 10 more minutes. Just 10 more minutes.
well, we keep going. I keep going off on tangents
It's like
too.
hitting
But
the snooze.
so yeah, after kind of being there for the early brainstorms, it kind of goes off writing Craig, and then goes off to Sean Keller, and he kind of touches it up, and then Matt makes some changes, and Matt kind of has the be all end all, like, this has to be in there. No, this can't be in there. And then asking me, can we do this? And then I say, yeah, and okay, or can we not? We'll change it around a little bit. So then we have to schedule it, and of course, nobody's paid. So, Sunday, Saturday mornings before they open at noon. I think Brian's making a mistake opening at noon, but
But don't tell him that.
I like having until noon to film.
Here's
It's
the
great.
thing, Brian. Listen. There's some people who need to get their comic fixed before work.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Come on.
Well, I think weekends especially, like open at 10 maybe.
Yeah.
I will
10's a
say,
good time.
I will
10's
say, let me tell a quick story. I was going. It was we recently had a birthday party for Joe's girlfriend Tiff, and I was going to get mine and my girlfriend's gift to her, and I was gonna get her a trade paperback,
Something from the destination.
something from the destination, and I was
Behind
up there,
Dee's Crafts.
and I pulled in, and I was at Dee's Crafts before I realized they're not gonna be open.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be open.
Yeah.
So so I didn't. I had to postpone.
Lost business.
So
Had to postpone.
you ended up Amazoning that thing.
You know, I did. Yep, because it was down to crunch time.
We've
Barrow,
had people
Barrow.
leave bad reviews on their Facebook page or
Oh,
like
really?
bad comments because we'll be filming and like we'll be like, no, sorry, we're closed, we don't open yet.
Yeah.
And then they'll leave
There
and
was
be like,
people in there.
there were people and they told me they were closed. I'm never coming back here again. And we're like, what? And like when I see who it is, I'm like, you just kind of like walked up and like walked in as
Yeah.
people were like leaving, and we told you immediately like, I'm sorry, like we're not open yet, and we open at noon. Come back.
You
And-
guys weren't like,
and they're
get
like,
out of here.
Fuck ED, fuck this store. And it's not like we let them shop and then bring something up to the counter and be like, oh no, we're not open.
I'm going to the zone.
I hope
But,
I have that much energy at some point in my life.
But
be
then
upset.
I'm gonna write
I'm gonna
a
get
strongly worded comment.
What do I
on
have to do
Facebook.
for an hour? Nothing. Let me go leave a comment.
But
I'm gonna do that.
So then once we are able to film, usually I'll be there behind the scenes, either helping to produce, assistant directing, pretty much on every shot, everything we shoot. Usually I'll be there, either trying to plan locations and timing, like we did when we went out to Red River Gorge for a lot of episode 6's shots.
It looks great.
Wow.
It looks
and
killer.
and or helping with having props and things ready on standby, ready to go whenever we need them for a shot, and all that sort of stuff. Just kind of while Matt's filming. When it was something like Zach Cooper, I would just be right behind him, and I would help direct the actors if need be, plan the choreography or stunts, and maybe give input on the camera work or anything else if something was not, giving us trouble. In this, there's a lot more, so I don't do as much of that. And Matt usually has, he's been doing this for so long, he's got a great vision in his head of what he wants that I just kind of like, hey, he's proven himself time and time again. Like, I don't need to do that, so I'll just be back paying attention to a lot of consistency, making sure that the actors are not talking over each other for Caleb, making sure they're doing the same thing in each take for Matt to edit, stuff like that. So making sure we've got consistency for the editor so we don't have anything weird standing out, all that sort of stuff. And so I'll just be on set pretty much every time doing that. And then I'll always watch the final mix, the rough mix, give comments and suggestions, watch the final mix with the sound, give comments and suggestions until we finish the whole thing. And for all the special effects, Matt just sends me all the original source footage, and I just do it and
Just crank it out.
send him lossless files that are like 32 gigs each.
There you go.
That's awful.
After Effects, he'll send me like a 500 megabyte shot, and then After Effects, when I don't want to compress it,
Yeah.
so I export it lossless, and it'll take like 500 megabyte source footage. It'll be the same resolution, just with some effects added, but then when After Effects exports a lossless version, it's like 10 gigs.
Yeah.
And then I have to give him that, and I'm like, well.
So what
here you go.
kind of machine are you working on? Is it like
I used to have, until earlier this year, this is the first episode I'll be using this new computer, but up until this point, I've had a 2005
nice?
There you go.
Power Mac G5.
Nice.
Wow.
Before they switched over to the Intel processors, it was
Yeah.
Power PC processors.
Yeah.
So I had the Power Mac G5. It was the same one I got when I was in art school, like a junior, and we got it for Final Cut and all my film and video classes. And it had 2 gigs of RAM, a whopping 2 gigs of
Wow.
RAM.
Nice.
And since it was 2005, it was like before HD really became a thing. So, like Final Cut wouldn't work with HD, or I could import it, but then it would all render. And if I changed anything, it didn't even change anything. If I just like went elsewhere on the timeline, it would all have to be re-rendered. Like usually you would have to like change something with a clip, and then only that clip needed to be re-rendered. Mine, if I did anything, the whole project would have to be re-rendered, and it would take like an hour or 2 hours, 3 hours to render the whole thing. So I was like, I can't work on this. After Effects, fortunately, doesn't do that, but it's still, with 2 gigs of RAM and doing HD, it would run real slow.
Did you use 2 gigs of RAM on stuff we've seen?
Pog Club? And
That's
Wow.
wild.
even the motion comic that Harry did.
Yeah.
If you think about some of that, like in Pog Club, like it starts out zoomed in on Slammin' Sid. It's like his name was Slammin' Sid.
Yeah.
And then, like lightning bolts right on his face. And then when you zoom out, he's like way far away on that tiny hill of Pogs. Well, all that had to be like full resolution so that when it started out zoomed in on him, there was no loss in quality.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that PSD file, one, it's layered, and because After Effects, I was working and animating the different layers to make it kind of 3D, 2.5D, as you would say, and so having all these layers with transparency on something that was like 40,000 pixels wide, about like 15,000 pixels tall, I was able to edit it all in like a 25 to 10% quality, and do the workflow in that. And then when I was exporting it, I would do it overnight, and it would render. But then when it would render, it would just kind of like disregard certain layers. Halfway through the rendering, it's like, you know what? My computer's just like, this would go a lot faster if I didn't have to render the ground. So, nix the ground. So then in the morning, I'm like, all right, it worked out. And I'd open it up, no ground. He's just floating on space. And I'm like, what happened here? So I borrowed 2 gigs from Downtown Recording. Caleb, they had a Power Mac in their closet that they weren't using. And so I borrowed 2 gigs. So I had 4 gigs for a little bit there, but then I had to return them. So, I had 4 gigs for a little bit.
Did that computer max out at 4? Or?
It maxed out more than that, but the problem is I tried upgrading the RAM a little while back, but it was an old computer, and if you went on like Newegg and you got the ones that said it was for like the model, the year, the season that you got it, it wouldn't fit. And I'm like, I was getting sick and tired of paying such and such for RAM and have it not work. So I was like, well, I'm just going to have to wait till I get a new computer and then max out RAM on that one. So now I have a 2011, 2012, like the latest not Power Mac, but the Mac Pros.
Mac Pro,
until they turned that into like the black cylinder thing. So I have the latest one since that, so that I can easily, like, I can kind of flash a GPU and get a better video card from like PCs, and I can max the RAM out at like 64 or something if I wanted to. So I shouldn't have many problems for a while.
Yeah, that's great.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I've got like for music, there are only a few plugins that are really gnarly on CPU, like certain drone, kind of synth drone plugins and like string plugins. But I have 16 gigs on my machine back there, and it's just not enough. Yeah. So like I could not imagine 2 gigs of RAM.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, our at Thoughtfly, our senior editor Matt Niehoff, I think he has 64 gigs. He has one of the cylinder guys. But he wants to max out at 128.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, the exponential growth of that is just insane.
It is.
I mean, granted, you weren't doing the same stuff back in what year was the 2 gig?
2005. So yeah, that was mostly SD.
I mean, that's 09.
That's 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
You've gone from 2 gigs to what's he wanting to max out
128.
at? 120. Yeah, exactly. So just exponential growth.
That's a lot of gigabytes
in power. Yeah, that's crazy.
Now that wasn't maxed out. Then I think it could max out at maybe 8 if I was lucky back then.
Right.
Maybe.
Sure. Right.
Maybe 16.
Right. I want to say mine's an 09 and it maxes out at 32 gigs, I think.
Yeah, usually like it was 1632 shortly after that.
Yeah.
It might have been 16 for mine, but I think it was like 8. It was like max out at 8 gigs. I'm like, well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll do 4.
I'll never use that much.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what I do.
You don't want to talk about my computer more?
No, I covered it all, and then it's pretty much just, the special effects is because I went to school for that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of lucky that I knew enough. And like I went to film school and I did a feature at school and I did videos at school, but then coming out, like I enjoyed motion graphics a lot. So, because I went to school thinking I was going to major in graphic design.
Yeah. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Columbus College of Art and Design.
Okay.
I went to Manual here and did the Visual Arts Magnet here.
Okay.
Columbus,
like Ohio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was telling Joe about this, like, while I was there, of course, I was mostly doing painting and drawing and sculpting and all sorts of, tons of art
Sort of
stuff.
fine art stuff.
Fine arts.
Yeah.
You go to college, you're like, my family, my dad's a computer programmer, my mom's like, and does like accounting type stuff. And I'm like, my sister's going to be a doctor.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I can't be a fine artist. Like,
right.
You can't,
right.
It's really hard to make a living doing that. And then what am I going to do as like an actual job?
Sure.
In the meantime, so I was like, well, graphic design, I'm good at that. I know computers, and that's one where you can like work at agencies, work at firms,
sure.
Actually get kind of a 9-to-5 job if you want. So I was going to do that, but like at the beginning of sophomore year, you choose your major there. And while I was in line to choose graphic design, I like flashed back to the days at Manual, freshman year at Manual, when I wasn't even in an art program, but in my geometry class. I was really good friends with Zach Treitz, who Joe was telling me they recently did a lot of the sound post
Yeah.
for his recent movie that I think they shot here in Kentucky. And he just went to Tribeca and got like Best Newcomer Director Award or whatever it's called. But basically, essentially that.
Totally.
And that's great. But freshman year, we were all just kind of like nerds in our geometry class. And our geometry teacher was like so relaxed. And that's bad for me. Like I need a teacher to kind of like challenge me.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was also like a low-end class. Like all my sister and all my friends were in like the advanced class, and I accidentally got put in the low-end class, not realizing it. So I wasn't challenged, and I just never did my homework. Never did it.
Right.
Because either she wouldn't check it, but then when she would, I just wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because she never did it, so I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, sure. You need a little push.
And I would get 100 or more on every test, so I was like, I don't need to do this homework.
Yeah.
So then by the end of the semester, like my homework grade would be like bringing down the rest of my grade. Well, she would let us do a final. She just let us get in groups and come up with any project we want. Any project we want. Any project. So we did.
So you got a crocodile in spelling.
Yeah.
Right? No grades.
We did a movie. Well, videos. Yeah. So back in 99, 2000, on Zach's little handheld camcorder and iMovie, we filmed a bunch of parodies for geometry. So we did like the Square Witch Project, Saving Private Rhombus,
nice,
Tritanic.
That's pretty good.
We did
pretty good.
We did a parody of Celebrity Jeopardy, like the SNL Celebrity Jeopardy with Sean Connery, asking like geometry questions.
Good.
And we did like an MTV Music Awards where we did a boy band, and our boy band there were 3 of us, so we called it Geometry as our boy band. And our friend who our third
hands on these.
That's right.
Our third friend, I do too. I wish he still had them. He could give them to me. I don't know if he does or not. But our other friend, his parents were Portuguese, and I think was it Nigeria? I think that was it. And so he played Cisco, introducing us to do like a song for the MTV, and he just had tin foil on his head and a glove on his hand, baseball glove, and so we were geometry, and we came out and we did like an a cappella song, just like one verse and a refrain, and we did ooh girl, I get a perpendicular bisector every time you walk by. My love is never ending like the decimal places in pi. I know geometry. Or no,
wait,
what is
okay.
it? I know geometry. It says us equals you plus me. And when we did that,
did you all fail?
No, we got an A
in geometry. Good,
like
for making geometry puns.
So then we
in a video
we turned this in and we all watched it as a class. And after that line, like these girls in class go, "What? Oh no, they just do that." I'm like, I'm glad you guys like. That was my test to see who actually paid attention in geometry class to be able to take that pun and like make the mental innuendo connection of like what it's referencing. I was like, that girl's got a head on her shoulders. But yeah, we would turn that in, and
take that lady home to your mama.
No matter what our grade was up to that point, we got an A. And then we did it the second semester too, and we did more parodies. Yeah, and we got an A both times.
So you still know no geometry.
Correct.
Right.
Correct,
okay. Good.
Correct. But so I was standing in line choosing my major. Graphic design was what it was going to be, and then I was like flashing back on that. I was like, the editing, the like creative, the creative concepts coming up, because we would just do it in one night. We would come up with all these ideas and film it.
Yeah.
And so just like the creative brainstorming and writing and editing and acting and whatnot was just so much fun. Like I was super passionate about it. So I was like, let's do film and video. Totally. Let's do that. And so I changed my major and did that instead. And you can't get a day job as easy doing that. Right. But you still can more than fine arts. But
sure.
But then I came back here and then thought, what am I going to do? The economy crashed in 2008 right after I graduated and was working like minimum wage retail. Yeah. And then ran into Craig and Matt at the game tournaments that Craig was running. And I barely beat Matt at Star Fox 64. And I was like watching him from around the corner as he was playing. Yeah. And he like almost beat me and he didn't. I was like, I had to come out and be like, hey man, that was close. I was secretly watching you back there. And then we all started talking, and I guess that was when they told me that he had been talking to Matt about this, and I was telling him how that's what I went to school for, and I had a degree in it, and Matt was already going to school at it. And so he checked out my website, and I guess he told me, he was like, oh man, I checked out his website and he had a site and everything, and like he's not going to want to work with us. But like
geocities.com.
I had it was AaronJamesPatterson.com.
Oh yeah,
because AaronPatterson.com was about a death row inmate. Free Aaron Patterson.
Okay.
If you Googled my name, it was all about this death row inmate. So it's like, shit, I got to do my full name. Now I'm going to sound pretentious. Aaron James Patterson.
That's right.
Use my middle name. But like Paul Thomas Anderson, Aaron James Patterson.
Exactly.
This is my director name.
It's very
like Matthew.
Very much
Martin Gaither.
Just an auteur.
When Matt did his director name for Zach Cooper was Matthew Martin Gaither.
Nice.
Or no, it started out he was going to be Matthew Martin.
Yeah.
That was going to be his name.
Wow.
And then he changed it. Yeah, I was like,
right.
It was like the alliteration.
Don't church it up, boy.
But he
Matt Gaither.
He was like, he's not going to want to do anything. But I was like, I didn't know anyone else here who was doing video stuff.
Right.
My video friends, I got one of them a job in New York with Black20.com. It was kind of like a sketch comedy group that left NBC Digital.
Right.
They wanted to hire me, but it was like not enough as a startup to make me move and make my ex quit her job and move with me. So I got one of my friends a job up there, and my other friend got a job in Chicago. So we were like all split, like our video friends from school. And so I was like, hell, I'll go listen to his pitch. Yeah. We'll see. But like he goes to community college, like we'll see. People at my art film school, like they did shit work half the time too. You'd find like a diamond in the rough every now and then, and you'd be like, this is nice. But his pitch just impressed me so much. I was like, holy shit, this is a great idea, great story. And we definitely need some visual effects, and it'll be a nice passion project. And that was like the beginning of the perfect storm of these three guys liked video games and just ran into each other, and then happened to also be creatives and filmmakers, and then Craig knowing a lot of the comedians and actors once Bagged and Board started. It just feels so weird that it's surreal at times, I guess. So
you showed up. You and Matt and Craig, I think, showed up on one of the covers, right? Recently, like one of the covers is not out. Like one of the Bagged and Board comic covers. Is that correct?
Well,
or was it just some art?
This season.
It was
cover.
like kind of a season
one.
cover.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
kind of
I didn't know what it
overall
was.
one. Yeah, so it's not going to be for one of the episodes.
Gotcha. Okay, it's where they're like bursting out. I don't even know what it's sort of an homage to.
It's the Giant X-Men. Like,
okay.
Issue where they're all kind of like bursting out of the pages.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that, but yeah.
It's a very iconic cover.
I've seen the Bagged and Board one. I know that, but
yeah, episode 5. That's the only one I'm on the cover of. Yeah.
Well, and the season, right? That's you as you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know what. I guess we'll probably use that as maybe a DVD cover or things like that. So, but it won't be like I like how our title reveals are like on actual comics in the episodes. That was a fun. Cool. That was a fun little thing that we decided to do. That was just kind of like, that's a good idea. Let's make that a trope.
It ups the production value.
It does.
That you're actually making a physical comic book for,
and you've gotten good artists to do it. I mean, that's one of the things.
That's the other perfect storm thing.
Yeah, the art's good.
I was like, wow, how are we going to get enough people? Because we wanted to use a different artist every time at first.
Right.
And I did the Pod Club one.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Because at that point, we still didn't have a whole lot of people lined up. And Brian kind of started helping on the ones after that.
Yeah.
We got Harry on number 5 after that. And that's when we were real impressed with. He just kind of he just had the initiative to make something on his own and give it to April.
Nice.
And then April like showed us, and we were like, oh, man, maybe he could do a cover.
Yeah.
And then he did that. So he was working so quickly, and out of a lot of the artists, he knew the format and stuff to give it to me. Like, I didn't have to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
He just knew what to give me.
Sure,
like, other people would give me stuff that was half finished, or it'd be flattened. There wouldn't be layers, or it would be the wrong like size or format or resolution.
Totally.
And he knew exactly what to do. So I was like, this guy has a knack for this. And so we brought him on, and then he worked on a lot of the stuff for episode 6, which you'll see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the credits for episode 5.
Yeah. Which was cool. Yeah.
So a more perfect storm all falling in place.
Definitely.
And then meeting you guys and Joe, you helping out with the music a lot.
That's got to be the highlight of your personal life.
I'm
not even talking about Bagged and Board.
I was going to say, each episode, it's like, okay, episode 4, we need some help on music. Okay, yeah, I can do that. Episode 5 is like, we need you to score like 80% of it. Episode 6, like, all right, let's do your original score front to back.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 minutes of music.
No,
it's fun. It's a ton of fun. And the thing about Matt, just kind of speak into some of the experiences you've had, he'll basically say, we don't want to rip this off, but we want something that sounds like this.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay, well, that's a challenge in itself, but I've never made those sounds before, so I have to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how quick you can figure something out when like people are counting on you to do that thing.
Also, I'm sure listening to, hey, we want something like this, but not quite. It's tough as a creative to like watch something and know it needs to be like it without making it just exactly like it.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
it's in your head, you've just watched it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to go on. It's like you almost want to make that, figure out how to make that, and then maybe morph it. But then it's like, how much can you morph it before it starts becoming not like it anymore to, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. And the hard thing, I'm sure you experience this as well, but like from a music standpoint, the hard thing talking to a director is they'll say, okay, well, I like this track. And I've done this with corporate audio countless times where I make a track that in my mind feels like it has the same kind of heart and soul of that feel. Like, well, no, I just want guitar in it. You know what I mean? They don't know how to communicate that what they like about this thing is the instrument.
The guitar.
It's not the key or the
tempo.
chord.
They haven't honed the skill of listening to something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Or at least identifying.
Yeah. Well, right. Or
portion
being
that they
able to
like.
sort of mentally dissect what they're listening to.
Like
and
some
hear it
people would
as
say,
different
I want
things.
a pace kind of like this, or I want,
Right.
that's a little bit better to go on.
Right.
But just, I like this. Let's do this.
Let's
I
do
worked with an
this.
agency a few months ago for this healthcare spot, and they're like, well, we need something really kind of somber but really kind of happy. and they're like we don't want any guitar in it though.
No.
I'm like, so I did this like cello like piano thing, and it's like to this day, as far as corporate stuff, one of my favorite things that I've made. And they're like, well, no, try something like this. They send me another spot that they had done. It was just a little happy song on the guitar.
But it wasn't.
So no guitar, somber and happy at the same time, and they send you a happy song on a guitar.
So I just
That
ripped
sounds
it
right.
off, and they're like,
Sounds
yeah.
right.
This is exactly what we wanted.
Nailed
So,
it.
It's kind of like they're like, we want you to do one of those like optical illusions where you take a color, you put it next to one, and it looks warm. Put it next to the other, it looks cold. Can you do the same thing with music? You put it in one context, it's
Exactly.
happy. But you take the same
Exactly.
song, you put it in the other context,
It's
sad.
sad.
You would
It's
like
the-
if you could do that, you would be like the next black, blue, white, gold dress.
I was
online
going to say,
phenomenon.
yeah.
colors
People would be
dress.
like,
Like
"Is
that
this
damn
song happy
dress.
or sad?" And then you know,
the dress was
million hits.
was not. It was black and blue.
I saw it as white and gold.
That's so interesting.
We were
interesting,
we were actually up in downtown recording doing ADR at the time when one of my friends had posted it on Facebook, and this was before it was even big on Reddit or anywhere else. And I was like, she was like, "What? How can this dress not be white and gold? What's going on?" And I was like, "What? How can it not? It is white and gold." And then I opened it up, and everybody's like, "It's black and blue.
Yeah.
It's white and gold." I was like, "Who sees black and blue?" And then I started
so bizarre.
asking. I asked all the people up there, and a lot of them were like, "Kind of black and blue. I don't know." And I was like, "How are you seeing that?"
That's great.
That was a mindfuck.
Well, as long as we're talking about music, we're sort of around that area. What you've been listening to? What, or even more than that, not what have you been listening to? Give us your taste. What's your taste?
Taste.
Musically.
So,
What are you into?
I'm into a lot of indie bands, but it's kind of across the board.
Yeah.
I enjoy indie rock, but I also like. I used to listen to some like trip hop electronica type stuff too.
Yeah.
So back in college, I used to love me some Block Party and Andrew Bird.
Okay. Oh, nice.
But I also listen to like older stuff, like listen to the shit out of Radiohead, like Hail to the Thief kind of era, or Kid A, or OK Computer.
Totally.
Or listen to Massive Attack, Mezzanine, or even Oasis, Morning Glory.
Cool.
Now, I used to listen to a little more like indie rock, and now I like a little more upbeat, like popish electronica stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just
Give us a couple groups or artists you've been listening to. Who you've been liking recently? I don't know that I'll know them, but
Purity Ring.
Okay.
But I haven't really listened to their new album recently. But I used to listen to shit out of their album.
Yeah.
I used to, or just today I had MGMT on.
That's a good group.
It's cool.
I'm trying to listen.
Here's a little.
I listen to too many podcasts now on my drive.
Right. Yeah, that's
that-
the thing.
The thing is, I go
podcast
in and
is the
out.
music killer.
I
It's
go
the
in
music
and out
killer.
of trends. I used to listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
And like just fill up my iTunes
Totally.
and just like go on the music blogs and
Totally.
be like, if you like this band like this, here's some playlists.
Yep.
Oh, what's that?
Start
That's
making a
awesome.
tree.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I would just like research all these bands and listen
Totally.
to their music. And then like started listening to a lot of podcasts once I started working at Cafe Press because there's a 30-minute drive there, 30 minutes back.
Yep.
And
Not anymore.
and it definitely, not
Right,
anymore.
yeah.
And then I'll be moving soon, and then I'm 5 minutes away from our new offices.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
good.
So that'll be really nice.
But it keeps you
I-
engaged, right? The podcast
Yeah,
keeps you
yeah,
engaged
yeah.
while you're on that trek.
But I'll miss the chance to listen to these podcasts. I also miss I try to listen to stuff at work. Like
Just
I'm like,
don't do work. Yeah, I was gonna say, just don't do work.
But it's
Just-
a little, I don't know, it's a little distracting at times, and a lot of people are like trying to like say, "Hey, I need this," or "What's up?"
Yeah.
And like having headphones on kind of makes that tough.
Totally.
Totally.
But yeah, like pretty much anything besides country.
Okay, fair enough.
Is good. I'll even listen. When I was in college, I was like, "Fuck top 40."
Oh yeah.
But now I'll listen to top 40 radio.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
fine
some
with
good
that.
stuff out there.
Especially, I think after I got out of school, top 40 started picking up more of the bands that I listened to. Like whenever top 40 started playing folksy and indie type stuff, like Foster
Sure.
the People, I was like,
yeah.
"What? Okay." Like before then, Louisville was just like Stained and Creed.
Oh, really?
And
Right.
then
Okay.
like
The good stuff.
Yeah.
oh, the good stuff.
The uncut good stuff.
What if I?
It's a great song.
Sia was is
Sia.
top 40.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sia.
whenever
She's
that's
great.
Dude, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
fantastic.
She started turning a little more poppy, but it's like it's good. Like it's
Yeah.
Have you
kind of
ever
what
lis-
she used to do, but
Yeah,
more poppy, and it's.
You ever
fine.
listened
I
to
like it.
interviews with her recently?
No, I haven't.
So basically, she writes for like the heavy hitter big dogs.
Oh, she
writes
does.
for Katy Perry,
Really?
Rihanna, Adele, Beyonce.
Really?
Yeah, and her new album is all like, and she views writing pop songs as kind of like an art. Like,
Sure, yeah.
what is a hit song, and what does it mean to be a hit song, and
Right.
how do you
Get there. And
get there?
That's interesting.
Well, her new album is going to be all rejected songs
From those other artists,
other
or-
artists.
Oh, wow.
Because she thinks
They
they're-
could be hit songs.
So it's like an experiment. Like she
Yeah.
wants to see how well they do, because she was surprised that all these songs got rejected. So
yeah. That's cool.
yeah.
I like that.
I'll be interested to hear
Speaking
that.
of the work thing, I've been putting on. I went through a phase where I was listening to a bunch of movie scores, because those are good to work to. If you got to work and you got to pay attention, but you would like some ambiance. Recently, I've been doing a lot of like Miles Davis and John Coltrane.
Oh yeah.
Just jazz, just like New York jazz.
If peeing your
been
pants, if peeing your pants, is
Cool.
Consider me Miles Davis.
That's the grossest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah.
Stop it, lady! You're scaring us.
I know your kids like them sloppy.
Sloppy. I love that. That's what Miles Davis means to our generation. Like, that's the first
so
thing.
awful.
That's the first thing we go to. Old lady at a pilgrim village peeing herself. It's good. That's good.
Good.
Where are we at sitting time
We're
wise,
at
show?
about an hour and 16 minutes.
Oh wow! Wow.
so
okay.
we've really
We've
Run the
really
gamut here.
we've really made a podcast episode this time.
we've really potted the heck out of it. We potted the heck out of it.
Aaron, you want to give any shout outs or plug anything other than Bag and Board? Everybody, we'll plug that at the beginning. So because some of this is just
I just want to plug
Speculation.
this episode of the Villain District because I'm going to be on it.
right.
So if you should check that out.
Yeah. Right.
Because I'm going to be on that.
Totally.
So we're all going to be going to MagFest as a group.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Late February 20th or so.
18th through the
18th through the
20
21st, something
Yeah.
like
Gotcha.
that. And so that's when we'll be premiering. We originally wanted to do the whole series, but this episode 6 is just a little heavy. So we're doing all the way up through episode 6. And then we're going to try and figure out a way to premiere episode 7, the final in the series, somewhere here in Louisville. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it's March or April, the Louisville Arcade Expo.
Oh, nice.
And I've been every year except for the very first one. So the last 4 or 5 years now, I think.
Sweet.
And
I don't think we've been to that one.
We haven't.
We
No, we
always
need to go.
get a booth there, and
Cool.
we usually do screenings. I know we're going to do a couple episodes there,
Yeah.
but that one's local. So
Yeah.
anyone who is from Louisville and wants to check out a good time with tons of pinball and arcade games on free play,
Totally.
and us at a booth and video game tournaments and cool screenings and panels, come check it out.
Sweet.
But I just want to plug everyone else's stuff because
Yeah.
I'm not a comedian, so I don't have shows. Come see me. I might be drinking at this one bar
There
on
you go.
Thursdays.
Yeah, see?
So
Just invite
come
people
see
out.
me every other Sunday.
Come see me. Buy me a beer.
yeah.
So sweet. Awesome, man. Joe, anything else you need to add?
Yeah,
Yeah, lots of stuff. You want to talk about your computer some more?
yeah.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about
No, I don't-
making a Hackintosh.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
Don't really talk about
So
your computer more.
essentially a Hackintosh.
This was not really an
It's a real thing, guys, but
This
you're
is
not
an
going to hear
invite.
about it because
You're not
going
gonna
to
hear about it. Yeah.
I'll tell you about it after the mics go dead.
Oh. We don't want to bore people. You get too technical, and then I love talking about things like
Yeah.
that sometimes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, where's the funny?
Yeah,
Let's throw
well,
the funny back out here.
Here's my thought. Whenever I stumble upon a podcast or an episode where they're talking about something technical that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
it's like jackpot because
Yeah.
they're going to nerd about it
Totally.
enough for me to like get everything I want out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's at least one person who cared about our Mac and our Mac Pro.
Here's what we do. We leave this on a cliffhanger about Hackintosh, and then you actually talk about it after we turn these off. But we leave it on a cliffhanger for Hackintosh, and if we get 5 messages saying that
What were
they
you
want
gonna say
they want
about
a follow-up about Hackintosh, then the next time Aaron comes on, we talk about Hackintosh. Part 2.
All right, we're going to do it.
That works.
So listen, faithful, loyal followers of
Right.
the VDPC radio
I don't know what that C means.
cast.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Villain
Podcast
District
is a
Pod.
It's 2 words.
Cast. Yeah.
Well, it's actually the VLNR.
I don't know what we're doing.
Niner.
I don't know what we're doing. You're a niner
So
in there?
listen, I want
from
to talk
a
about the
walkie-talkie?
Hackintosh. So it's up to you guys. I'm talking to you, Mom.
It's up to you, listeners.
Rally them up, Mom.
We need 5 messages that says next time Aaron Patterson comes on, we talk about Hackintosh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or I'll just find everyone's Facebook accounts.
Just hack them, send the messages yourself,
Yeah.
and that'll work. All right. Thanks for being here, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
We'll have you back. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening, DNN. N. 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 N.